But every district puts their spin on it. And at Masuk, what we envision, as for the Jockey Hollow STEM Academy, is a version where inquiry, a method of learning, and integration, a method of combining all the classes towards thematic learning, is kind of our focus. So STEM really varies by what town, what district, what they want to do. But again, we're trying to promote the key areas of math and science along with the technology and engineering.
Now, Mike, you had the opportunity to interview Leigh, Ances, and I believe Bonnie Maur. Okay, Maur. All right. What did you learn from that interview, and what is your spin on the STEM Academy?
What I took from it was that they're gearing students to have more hands-on learning and really delve into more physics problems, at a real base, such as building bridges, like scale models, and using technology to reinforce that. And that's an important part because teachers are getting training to reinforce this new technology so they can better enhance the students' learning capabilities.
Now, Natalie, you've expressed the interest in being a biology major, obviously a strong interest in science. What is your take on this idea of a STEM Academy, and do you see it as something we need, particularly to go along with Mr. Schmidt's comment that we could integrate more women into these professions?
I think the STEM Academy is going to be a really good idea to push students towards science because it not only shows it from a lecture perspective, but it also shows science from an actual application perspective. So students can learn how to use science in real life. I know that for me, I really take advantage of a lab period in any of my science classes. So having the application of what I'm learning is really important. So I feel like if students will get that experience, it will be so much easier for them to decide what field they want to go into when it comes to math and science. And I think that women definitely should, begin to take on more interest in sciences because there's a big demand for women in the science field.
Yeah, and so far, I think we're still locked up in some older ways of thinking where we categorize. Even the word engineer culturally suggests the male. And that's an unfortunate aspect. I have to believe, Mr. Schmidt, that you kind of felt very positive about the comments that Natalie shared.
Absolutely. I mean, we made this point also at the parent presentation last week. Although you're right, engineering has been traditionally seen as a male, and science in general has been a male role. It is improving. I shared with the group last week. When I started teaching 22 years ago in Monroe, most of the kids in my physics class were boys. And it's really pleasing for me to look out at my class now, and it's at least half girls in my classes. So we've come a long way. But again, there's still a need to graduate kids in science and technology and engineering, and particularly to take advantage of the skills offered by all of our students, not just the males.
What about the potential of a follow-up? Let's suppose we go along with this middle school program that we've all been sharing some comments on, and we throw in what I said before about my experience. Would it be more constructive to say, as a follow-up to STEM, if you really are interested in college, take 4 years of science, take 4 years of math, upgrade the requirements, so that you have that benefit extending across a broader population of students?
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, right now, the Monroe requires students to take 2 years of science. That's the minimum to graduate. One of those has to be biology. The good news is that most students don't just stop there. Most of our students, in fact, almost all of our students take at least 3 years. We really encourage kids to take chemistry. Colleges like to see chemistry on their transcript. And now we're really encouraging a lot of kids to take. Guidance has come back to us and said we're really looking for physics as well. So I think you're right. It would be nice to require it, but I think we're getting those kids interested in science and math, taking those courses anyway for the right reason. They know it's important to them. Colleges are looking for it. So I think we're getting a little pressure from above that's encouraging kids to do that, to be competitive.
What about you, Mike, or Natalie? Do you think that we should make it a requirement so that we really hit the full spectrum of students?
I think that adding another requirement to take another math or science course would be a great idea because it really exposes kids to a different field of science. Because biology is great, but there's also another side of biology, which is chemistry, which kind of adds another layer and gives the students an opportunity to decide what to study in college.
Yeah, I can't imagine personally not taking 4 years of a math and science. I would not let myself do that, and I don't understand why you would have to take 4 years of English but not 4 years of math and science. I think all of the subjects are such core subjects that it should definitely be a requirement to, experience all of those. And a lot of kids, like, if they're not good at something, they don't want to do it anymore. But then when they get up to a college level, how are they going to catch up when they're lacking, let's say 2 years of math and 2 years of science?
Well, those are some strong points of argument. I have to agree with all three comments. Now, in answering this one, please also address a pertinent issue that will inevitably arise, such as the matter of selecting students to enroll in the academy. What do you think about that, Mike? What process is going to be the fairest for enrollment, assuming we get a student body that has an interest? And I believe there's a minimum number they're looking for of 150.
Yes, there is a minimum number of 150 right now, and I believe that the maximum number is around 236 students can enroll into the STEM Academy. It is a completely random lottery as of right now. Parents have been debating whether or not if they want to do it on test scores, but so far right now it's strictly random. So the numbers based upon gender, based upon grade will be decided just randomly.
What do you think, Natalie? I mean, do you think there should be some kind of entry-level test?
Yeah.
I'm not so sure we can count on the CMT as a good guide for this.
Well, right now, to say that it's a lottery, I believe that's a little unfair, because what if you have one student that really wants it more than another one, and, they don't get in because it's a lottery? I definitely think there should be some kind of test scores involved in this, but also how much enthusiasm the students are putting forward themselves. I mean, maybe someone is better on a test score, but they don't want it as much as someone who's a little lower. All of this should be taken into account. So I really think that there's still a lot of ironing out to do when it comes to choosing students that are, eligible to participate in this program.
Well, with that enthusiasm, are you suggesting that some kind of teacher recommendation or an interview process?
Yeah.
Or what would you be suggesting?
Definitely, teachers should be on the lookout for students that seem to be engaged in math and science and seem to enjoy it more than others. Even if a student isn't getting, straight A pluses necessarily, if they have a slightly lower grade but they still show very strong enthusiasm, I think they shouldn't be blocked off from joining the STEM Academy necessarily, but grades should still have an impact.
So you want some proven numeric
Right.
assessment standards combined with this teacher reference,
Yeah.
because you want to balance off the factor that I run up to Mr. Schmidt as my 7th grade science teacher and say, oh, but Mr. Schmidt, I really, really, really want to go. Like I really know like I will do good.
I think there are some issues. My understanding is there are some legal issues about selecting, for example, gender. To say that we're going to take a certain percentage of a particular gender, I think there's some legal ramifications there. And I do agree that it would, I think part of it is we're trying to get the program up and running the first year, and because of that, we don't want to limit people. We are asking parents and students to think about why they might want to consider Jockey Hollow STEM versus Jockey Hollow main campus. And part of that is talking to teachers. We really want to make sure that students who like the way of learning done by inquiry, some students like inquiry, some students don't. So if a student is inclined towards a laboratory experience, real life, like you talked about, real life laboratory experience, then those are the students who want to consider STEM. If you like to sit and not necessarily do that method of learning, then maybe traditional Jockey Hollow is a more appropriate campus for you. But again, I think part of it is we don't want to limit students in their choice. We really see this as two different equally excellent programs to arrive at Masuk High School. You can either do main campus or Jockey Hollow STEM.
So we don't want to create some kind of imagery of a distinction of this group is here and this group is here.
Yeah, it's not really, we don't see it as an academic level. We certainly understand there's going to be kids that are going to be drawn towards one school versus the other, but we didn't want it to be this school will have a certain clientele of students and this school will have a different clientele of students. We really looked at is what's your learning style. If you like inquiry and if you like integrated subjects, then you want to go that route. If you like the traditional way, which education is happening in Jockey Hollow, then that's probably the route for you. And again, at the informational meeting last week, we went through a lot of these discussions, and there'll actually be another informational meeting on the 30th of November where parents who still have questions are obviously welcome to come, ask any question you would like. We want to get information out to people. We want them to make an informed decision.
Thank you for those comments. Mike, anything you want to throw in last second on this one question?
There will be some issues. I agree with Natalie that there might be improvements made to the selection because, as you commented, there might be this one kid who would love to join STEM